Throne of Eldraine is going to feature top-down design. Now that's an interesting choice, but it's a risky one. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. It has been said to us that the upcoming Throne of Eldraine set will indeed be top-down design. Now, as I mentioned, that is risky business. Personally, I'm all for it. I genuinely enjoy top-down design a lot. Some of my favorite sets, like Legends, for example, are amazing top-down sets. Now, again, this is a risky game that they're playing, but before we get into the risks of it, I think it's best that we all understand the difference between top-down design, bottom-up design. These are different design styles, and we're just going to be talking about them in the sense of Magic the Gathering. So these terms have a wider meaning out in the world as well, but we're just going to be using Magic's definition, essentially, of top-down, bottom-up style design. So bottom-up style, I keep wanting to reverse the directions. Anyways, bottoms-up design is where you come up with mechanical concepts that you want to use, the mechanics, the numbers. We're looking for a creature with first strike. We're looking to specifically craft a burn spell that does 4 damage at instant speed. These sort of specific to the game mechanics, that sort of a basis where it's like, okay, we need this in particular, and then they build around it. So if they needed a creature with first strike, well, they go, okay, we need a white creature with first strike. And then they would start to add in, okay, put in the power and toughness, figure out the power and toughness, the abilities of the creature first. And then once you have all the mechanically relevant parts, all the numbers and everything, basically if you stripped all the flavor out of a card, so you weren't worried about the name, you weren't worried about the art, any of that, right? You design the card first, you go 2/2, first strike, white creature, and that's it. And then you look at it and go, okay, is there mechanically a creature type we're trying to push? And then they put the specific creature type in there and go, okay, we've got this now. So we've decided for this set, for example, we need a 2-cast, 2/2 knight. And they go, all right, we've got this, we've got the knight now. Now, how are we going to concept this? What are we going to call this? And then they'll go, well, we could just slap a name on like Brave Hero, right? Okay, boom, Brave Hero card is made. So basically, bottom up design favors mechanics and the actual interworkings of the game above everything else. Now, top-down design is the opposite kind of idea, where you actually take a concept and you make it into a card. So you would be like, I'm going to make, I want there to be a rod of lightning in Magic the Gathering. That's it. Just one of the designers gets up and is like, I literally want there to be a rod of lightning. And then they'll go, okay, what would a rod of lightning be? Well, it would be an artifact, right? Obviously, because wands and rods are artifacts. So they go, okay, it's an artifact. And then they go, okay, well, what kind of an ability would it have? Well, it's a wand of lightning, so it would do damage to a target of your choice as a wand of lightning. You can point it wherever and zap people. So you just kind of organically come up with what the card would do and then come up with your costs and all that stuff afterwards. So when it came to looking at the cost, they would go, okay, what is like, we've got the ability, I know that Wand of Lightning is going to do this. Now, what do we cost it at? And they would go, okay, well, should we give this ability to all colors and have it have a colorless casting cost? Or should we give this to red deck specifically and key it to red? And under new design philosophy, more than likely the artifact would be red aligned, as they are moving more towards colored artifacts to remove the problem that Magic has with colorless cards being the most disruptive and the most frequently requiring banning. So that's the sort of thought process. And if you actually want like a real world example of top-down design, I think a good card to look at is Form of the Dragon, right? This is this massively expensive spell, basically. I mean, you're paying 7 mana to cast it, right? It's 3 red, 4 colors, but the whole thing is, actually, let's start with it from the top-down perspective. what is Form of the Dragon supposed to be? It's literally supposed to be the player, the planeswalker, transforming into a dragon. Now, how is that represented? One of the ways it's represented is with the massive cost. So this is a very mana-intensive spell where it takes a lot of magical energy to turn you into a dragon. Another way that the concept is transmitted is with the artwork, where you can clearly see a dragon flying, and you know that's like supposed to be you taking on the form of a dragon. Now, mechanically, how they represent this concept of you being a dragon is they go, well, you're a dragon, you can breathe fire, you are essentially almost like a 5/5 dragon. That's really how they break it down, because they put one ability on the card that does 5 damage to any target. You go, boom, I can hit any target with 5 damage. That's the dragon either bite attacking or using sort of fire breath to hit a target. That makes sense as a dragon. The second ability is that it resets your life to 5 at the end of each turn, right? So you're basically, it's almost like, depending on the direction you went, if you gained life somehow, then it would be reducing you to 5. But in most cases, the situation's going to be one where when it sets you to 5 each turn, it's after the first turn. The first turn you put it out, granted, your hit points are going to decrease. If you were at 20, you put it out, you'd go down to 5 at the end of your turn. But that conceptualizes you as well, turning into a 5/5 dragon. Now you have 5 toughness. And it works the same way as a dragon in Magic would, because when a dragon takes damage, at the end of the turn, that damage gets healed. And you as a creature, if you take less than enough, like if you take less damage than it takes to destroy you, which would be the 5 your life is set at, you heal at the end of the turn. So that again gives you the feeling of being a dragon. And then the third ability that they put on the card says that creatures without flying can't attack you. And that obviously feels very much like you are a dragon, because the reason they can't attack you is because you are flying. That's the concept, right? It's supposed to be you're a flying dragon, and that's why creatures can't attack you. So if you look at that card, that was an example of a card they designed as a top-down design where they said, okay, we want the flavor of becoming a dragon. How do we represent that in a card? Now, what you may have noticed, if you pay attention to a lot of Magic cards, and you may not have noticed this as well, because Form of the Dragon ties together really well. Anyhow, what you may have noticed is that the card actually has multiple abilities that don't really feel very red. If we pick it apart and you look at the first ability, you go, okay, 5 damage to any target. That screams red. That just screams red. The second ability, though, where it sets your life total to 5, that's different. First of all, red doesn't have cards that reset your life total to anything in most cases. They have cards that let you pay life, and you could kind of look at the first turn of losing all your life and going down to just 5 life when you have the Form of the Dragon up for the first turn. You could kind of look at that as life loss, but as soon as you move past that, all of a sudden, if you're taking some damage, you're healing up. That's red life gain. That is not something you see in red. That doesn't feel red at all, really. Lifelink is something you're going to find more in white and black, right? So you've got the Form of the Dragon kind of stealing outside of the color pie, and it actually does it again with the next ability, where it says creatures without flying can't attack you. That is a decidedly white ability right there. That is like Island Sanctuary level. Oh yeah, by the way, what you can attack me with is now restricted. That is a specialty of white. So you have a red card where only one of the abilities actually feels red. And then you have an ability that feels white or black. And you have another ability that definitely feels white. But when you look at the card overall, it fits. It all works together as Form of the Dragon, right? And that's top-down design, where they're allowed to move outside the color pie as long as the final product feels right. So theoretically, 66% of the abilities of this card don't belong to red, but once you bundle it all together, the whole package operates as a red card. The whole thing feels perfectly red. It literally feels like you're a planeswalker turning into a dragon, and that feels 100% red. So they're allowed to have that kind of freedom. Throne of Eldraine is going to be this top-down kind of design. Now, the risk with top-down design is you can either knock it out of the park with something that's incredible, or you can make really weak cards that are just, well, they're top-down design, but they suck. It's like, what if we made it this? And it's like, and nobody likes it. What if we made it this? And nobody likes it. And then there's the risk as well that when they go on the strong level of making a top-down card, they can make cards that are too powerful, and it could end up unbalancing standard and requiring standard bans. Remember, they just recently released Hogak. They think that they have a pretty good bead on where cards should be. Now, admittedly, Hogak is Modern Horizons, and we're talking about the modern format, and they do have more experience minding and tending to the standard environment, but it wasn't that long ago before Saheeli Rai and Felidar were ripping things up, and they were okay with that. So what we've got to bear in mind is with this top-down design, there is the potential for them to actually go ahead and unintentionally make cards that are too powerful, and as a result, they have to turn around and do standard bannings, and standard bannings are never a good thing, because it means, first of all, the meta has warped enough that it's causing people to not want to play. That is a bad situation. And then to compound that, on top of all the bad feels from the people who've kind of went, I'm taking a step back, I don't like this meta. Then you have the people who stuck around getting hit with the ban hammer, and all of a sudden the cards they like using are pulled away from them. And Magic loses players every time there's a banning. There's no way to measure exactly how many there are, because there are a fair number of people who play Magic the Gathering who say, I'm quitting, I'm leaving, I'm never coming back, and do return. Hi, I'm one of those people. I'm guilty of that. So not specifically over bannings, but I know what it's like to say you're exiting from Magic and not do it. But there are definitely going to be some people who just recently got cards that are banned, and they're like, you know what? I'm just going to play another game. I put money into this, and I just don't feel good about it. So that is the risk of top-down design, but I am hopeful. I think that it's going to probably be fine. There's a small chance that something may go off the rails, but overall I think it's going to turn out to be fine. And some of my favorite sets, like I said before, like Legends, top-down design. And Legends is full of so many flavorful, disparate parts. It's nice because everything doesn't have this homogeneous blend to it, where you just get what it feels like the same thing over and over and over. Top-down design allows for a lot more variety, which is a good thing, honestly. I'm looking forward to seeing what it's going to be, but I did just want to discuss the possibilities here, considering this is going to be a top-down set. So I'm excited for it. Let me know what you guys think. I want to give a big shout-out, thanks to my patrons and channel members. Appreciate you guys very much. And remember,
together we are the 6 color of magic.